Questions and reminder, no live streaming.
Well, the biggest thing is had a pretty physical practice. Tuesday, it's our day to get after it more than others, and we had a lot of cuts out there today. Had a lot of guys on the ground, and thought that our scout team did a tremendous job trying to give us a picture. Certainly not exactly the same speed that Tech's going to give us, but we got a couple kids that have been on that scout team for 3 years now. Van Tiff, Erdman, Prather. I mean, those guys are unbelievable at how fast they go out there and really try to mow people down. So appreciate their effort and what they do to give us a good picture. We didn't exactly play it real well today, but we'll coach off the tape and try to get better at it. And offensively, I thought we had good tempo to practice and got some special teams in as well.
Question?
Is it true, Coach, that when you talk about the cut block, have to deal with that can cause more injuries? That just something that's just out there ruling?
I don't know. Ron Corson's our sports medicine guy, and they do all the studies on it, and they do it on what special teams happen on. You know, where they were saying that kickoff return had a high injury, high rate of concussions. But I don't know any evidence of that. I think you'd have to ask an expert before I know whether or not more people get injured when they go against triple option. I certainly don't think so. I watch other teams play it, and they seem to play hard against it and do well, and not more injuries.
Can you give us, I'm guessing you played some option teams, during your career. Can you give us a first person on what are the challenges as a player and how did you approach it?
Yeah, challenges are just eye control. I mean, football, to be honest with you, has changed so much in the last 20 years where everything is RPO driven, zone blocking driven, finesse, 7-on-7s, and that's nothing what this is about. This is about physicality, toughness, get down in the dirt, backyard football. I mean, I went and watched my son play in a 6-year-old tackle football championship, and I saw the 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old teams playing, and that's what they were playing. 11 people in a box, all of them hitting each other, tackling the man with the ball, and it looked like a scrum sometimes. And that's what a lot of people don't do. They spread you out. And Tech does a tremendous job making you defend all 53 yards, and they do a tremendous job playing physical. Some guys don't like to be physical. If you don't like physical, you won't like this game.
After that first time you played Tech, what'd you do? Was it a little eye-opening saying, all right, we got to face this once every year. I got to study it. I got to consult with some people.
We did a lot of that the first year because I certainly didn't feel comfortable with it the first year. And we went places, studied with people, did all kinds of things to prep for the first year. We certainly didn't defend it very well, but I think a second-year experience was helpful. There's nothing that I could say we went out and just reinvented the second year. I mean, they missed some plays last year, and we had some good players out there playing against it. So, but we visit with people every year to try to get better at third down, red zone, everything. You do the same thing with triple option. You try to visit and get ideas from different people and try to learn. A lot of times, high school coaches are your best weapon because they face it more than colleges.
Everybody makes a big deal about the dive and the pitch man and all that stuff, but that first year you're talking about, you guys probably defended the run better than you did the pass. You had a lot of explosive plays in the pass game. How much stress does this offense put on those back four guys?
Oh, tremendous. They ran it good too. They ran for a lot of yards and ran through us, so they did both. But that's when you're in trouble when you start giving up the runs because it makes you more susceptible to the pass and the play action. Obviously the play action is the scariest thing they got, but it also can be long foul balls and put them behind the sticks as well.
Two questions. Yours is a very young defense that's really been maturing as the year has gone on, and then now you have something that's like all their concepts are out the window. Does that make it disadvantageous just having a youthful defense seeing this for the first time?
Yeah, there's nothing that carries over if that's what you're saying. There's no part of our defense. You talk about the growth of our defense. It's not relative to playing Georgia Tech because other than confidence of playing in a game, there's really nothing that carries over. We got a good group of kids. A lot of our kids that are repping were twos or ones last year, but a lot of our twos were not even here. So it's a new learning for a lot of them, but they're adapting. And we aren't doing a million things.
Following to that, we sound a little doomsayer here when we talk about defending. What are some characteristics of this defense that make you think that they can be successful in this?
Well, toughness. I mean, physicality, heart. A lot of playing tech is an attitude. It's a I want to hit, not be hit. I want to attack, not be attacked, and that's the approach that we're taking with it. I mean, you got to do a great job selling it to your players, and I think the teams that defend it well are the ones that really enjoy playing against it.
Can you update us on the injury status on some of the guys?
Who?
Well, I guess Monty and Cade.
Yeah, Monty did not practice today. He's still rehabbing. Cade is able to go. He's not been in contact. He's been out there practicing with shoulder pads and moving around, running, but he's not been in contact yet. And I don't know that we're going to be able to clear him before the game.
And what about? I know you've had Ben on the punch shield, but are you comfortable with him playing on the line yet and getting?
Yeah, Ben played on the line against Auburn. Remember?
Right.
He played against Auburn.
So you
I'm
said he
comfortable
sprained an
with him.
ankle, I
Yeah,
thought.
he sprained his ankle a little bit, but he's just overcoming 2 obstacles, so it's tough.
Who gets to play the scout team quarterback in preparation for this game, and how was he doing?
We've had a couple guys out there. Mason's done it for us. We've had Trey Bishop's done it for us. McCarty's jumped out there some. Rambo.
I was about to ask you about that, how much of the car, because he did that based on the same offense in high school.
Yeah, he did. He does a good job with it, but I mean, he's not out there like pads or anything like that. But he's done a good job helping us and coaching the kids on it.
This is a week where y'all make the quarterback live in those deals and kind of thud those guys up too.
Yeah, we do periods live and just go out there and play tackle the man with the ball. I don't know any other way to do it, to be honest with you. There's no halfway on it, and our kids like it. They embrace it. They get a little dirty and roll around the ground, and our coaches do a good job selling it.
Following up on you talked a little bit about schedule philosophy, and I wanted to ask you about playing a rivalry game the week before an SEC champion. I know there's tradition, but this tradition existed before there was an SEC championship game. You did it at Alabama and here. How detrimental is it to have that type of rivalry game the week before the SEC championship? And do you have any influence on scheduling? Is this a game that would be better at the start of the year?
I mean, a detriment. I don't know if it's a detriment. It's the schedule. I mean, I look at it as you're going to play a good team every week. I think the last game of the year should be, I think the schedule's set up the right way. I mean, yeah, I'd love to play Georgia Tech the first game of the year. That'd be great. But what if you're not in the SEC championship? I mean, you'd like to have a big game to end on to set you up to a bowl game. I mean, I don't think that's that big a deal. I think everybody in the country has a rivalry game to end their season, and then if you're fortunate enough to make your championship of your conference, best wishes to you. You know, you got to go play somebody. And I don't think it's that big a deal.
Kirby, you guys had a lot of NFL draft picks that were helped you guys last year to get far in the postseason, all that. These seniors, what did they do to help elevate this program, and what was the buy-in when you came here?
Buy-in's been great. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know the numbers on that class. There was the freshman class when we arrived, but I would argue there's not a lot of them left because it was a really large class. Because I remember they may have signed 30 maybe that year or something. It was a large number. And since we've arrived, whether by transfer, by grades, by dismissal, it seems like that class has really shrunk. But I don't know the official numbers, but the ones that have stayed, the ones that have pushed through, the ones that have bought in, have really helped our program and have a chance to be one of the top 4 senior classes to ever play here, which is pretty incredible when you have a 8-win season in there.
Does the message for your program, and I know that you try to keep it consistent every week, but I also understand everybody's human, there's probably some little bit variations here and there. Is it kind of, at this point in the year, is there an evolution that comes with it that maybe you're stressing one thing maybe more so just to kind of make sure that this base is covered?
I'm not sure.
Just is it different than, come November when you're right here down the home stretch than maybe it was a little bit back in September, October? The players are different. Some are more ready to play. Some are, in different
the
spots.
message really isn't different, but I mean, certainly we have players that are, I look at guys that played in every game that are freshmen. I look at them as sophomores because they played in every game. Georgia Tech's unique because it's a unique offense, but for our offensive freshmen, they're very experienced. They've played in some tough, heated battles, and this is a big rivalry game. I feel like all the SEC games are rivalry games, and we try not to make one game bigger than the other, because then that sets you up for letdowns. We're trying to be very consistent in our approach, consistent in our message.
Y'all go against Georgia Tech less in recruiting than y'all do some of y'all's other rivals?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would say we go against them less. I mean, we're going against Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, I think South Carolina a lot more than we go against Georgia Tech, sure.
He's gonna remind me. Do you guys do Thanksgiving together as a team? You let them go home. What's the?
Yeah, the players have a kind of a 24-hour window. They get to eat with their families and enjoy. We eat together on Friday when they report back.
Is there anybody with eligibility left that might be walking Saturday, or is it just everyone we expect?
Yeah, I don't think so. Nobody's come to me and talked to me about that. We've got a big group of seniors that'll be walking, but no juniors that will expect to go walk.
When you've got all this free time with no class and everything, how structured is it to make sure they're, you kind of program things up for them that way that they've kind of gotten everything, not so much free time to, not necessarily make
Yeah, it's
bad
hard.
decisions.
We still have limitations on our time with them, so it's not like we get more time. They have more time, but we don't necessarily have more time. So we have to manage it smart, and we try to schedule out our day where you don't keep them here all day, because that's not really fair to them. But certainly with the team we're playing and the offense we're playing, the extra time that we have for not class, for them not to be in class, it helps the kids that enjoy watching tape and come in and watch extra on their own. They use that wisely.
Do you get a chance whenever they're in class on a normal week to max out the 20-hour rule, or do you, is there ever any time left over from that, and do you get a chance to fill it this week, maybe?
Oh no, you don't get carry hours over.
Oh no, I mean, I'm talking about like maybe whereas you get 18, you may be only able to fill 18 hours in the regular season. Are you able to get to the complete 20
you
in a
get
week
20
like this?
each week, and we'll get 20 this week, but not over that. We just can't.
You talked about the buy-in. You mentioned it a couple times now. When you're talking buy-in, are we talking about guys accepting or identifying roles? Because I know how competitive it is. On the one hand, at some point, some of these players probably have to realize they may not have the role they want, and they have to accept what they get. When does that happen? Was there a corner that you turned, and how big has that been for this team?
I think it's an individual basis. I mean, certainly you could go through every senior, and there's a guy that had to accept his role for that year, but that doesn't mean his role is going to be that the next year. And I mean, Keon's a great example. He's helped our team. He's played on some third downs and dime, but I mean, he would tell you he wants to play more, but he's really been a good special teams player. He started on punt, starts on kickoff coverage, starts on punt return, and that's become his role. And he buys into that, and he gives us great effort. He was our special teams player of the week last week. So there's a great guy with a great example. Then there's Led, who early on he didn't have as big a role when the other players were. He played, but he didn't have as big a role as he has now. And now he's one of our better leaders. I mean, everybody's role. J.R. Reed was a scout team player for a year because he couldn't play. And now he's a veteran leader that's a redshirt junior that's doing a good job. So this senior class that sits across the front row, each one has their own individual story, and each one of them has bought into the program and given blood, sweat, and tears for whatever that role is.
2 more questions?
Alabama Auburn should be being conducted when you get done with your game. Will you sit down and watch that game as relax and just watch it as a fan or whatever, or do you sit there with a clipboard, or what have you, and be breaking it down, or you would avoid looking at it whatsoever?
I mean, if it's on TV, I'll watch it. We'll be recruiting. I mean, we'll have prospects here. Certainly while they're on campus, that's the number one most important thing. That's the only time you got them there. It's all recruiting. But if it's on while I'm sitting with a recruit, we'll watch it. But I'm going to have plenty of time to watch it on film Saturday night, Sunday night, since we get the tape. So I get plenty of chances to watch it. Our focus has to be with Tech, and then after Tech, focus on recruiting.
You speak about recruiting. If I'm not mistaken, you guys can start doing in-home visits next week. Is that right? But is that completely out the window with having to prepare for the SEC championship?
I wouldn't say completely out the window, but it's not something that I've believed in my past to play in that game. I think it's much more important to have organization on the recruiting front. You explain to prospects that, hey, we won't be able to go out because we're focused on a game that we played ourselves into, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks, but we won't be, it's hard to do, not to say we won't drive to Atlanta or do something, but that's not on the schedule right now. The schedule right now is to prepare and get ready for that game, just like we're doing for Tech now.
Thanks, Coach.